Hello boys and girls, I am so excited to share with you today about Celia Cruz, the queen of salsa. So let me move this so I can show you the map real quickly. So we've already talked about music in Australia all the way over here. We came all the way over here to South America and we talked about Brazil, and now we're going just a little further north to a tiny island called Cuba. So our music that we are going to be talking about comes from Cuba, and the performer is Celia Cruz, the queen of salsa. Here we go. In the fabled land of Havana, where rhythm grows sweet and juicy like oranges in Florida, there lived a girl. She looked like a girl and talked like a girl, but everyone who ever met her agreed she sang like a bird. When Celia Cruz was a girl growing up in Cuba, she could never hear the magic others claimed was in her voice. When she opened up her mouth to sing, she heard a girl like any other. But when she sang, her father heard thunder. Her cousins heard the call of the sea. Her neighbors heard a hummingbird. Celia would grow up to be a queen, but she was not born a princess. She grew up in a poor section of town, one of 4 sisters, though the house was also home to numerous cousins. At times, there were as many as 14 children in the 2-bedroom house. Raise your hand. How many of you have a brother or sister at home? Or another sibling that lives with you? Could you imagine 14 kids in your house? That's a lot of kids, all at once, all the time. Still, young Celia always stood out amongst the crowd. Her mother liked to tell the story of how a tourist bought Celia's first pair of shoes after hearing the little girl sing. Like other girls in Havana, she had chores. Some of her friends were charged with sweeping the kitchen. Other girls washed the dinner plates. Celia's job, though, was to sing lullabies to put her younger brothers and sisters to sleep. At night, her voice carried through the windows, rolling along the cobblestone streets like a wheel or a wish. The people in her neighborhood began to gather outside her family's front door, begging her father to leave it open. They said, "Her voice is tan dulce, sweet like azúcar." Her voice, it was said, sent you not only to sleep, but to a nighttime land of angel dreams. Always shy and more than a little independent, Celia mistook the gathering crowds for busybodies, watching her every move. "Ay, por favor," she pleaded. "If you don't leave, these little ones will never go to sleep." Despite her initial shyness, she could not stop singing. In the afternoon after school, she would listen to the rapid-fire calls and cries of the pregón, the street vendors calling out their wares. In time, people would recognize the passion and pulsating cries of the pregón in Celia's unique vocal style. So when Celia became a singer, what she heard in the marketplace is what inspired some of her singing styles. In high school, she began singing in school shows and local clubs. The music that she loved, el son and la guaracha, blended traditional Afro-Cuban rhythms with the flavor and folklore of the tropics. It was the kind of music that sizzled from the joy of being alive. Her father loved to watch his little songbird, watch her send 100 hearts soaring with her melodies. But he was also cautious. "Keep studying, mija," he told her as she hummed old Cuban love songs while absent-mindedly flipping the pages of her school book. "You're so smart. Forget about singing, become a school teacher, and make our family proud. So, did her father love Celia singing? Did he think that was the best choice for her, though? No. What did he want her to become? Yeah, a teacher. Her teachers, however, saw things a different way. Take a chance, one professor told her. With your voice, you could earn in a day what it takes me a year to make. But it was not easy to take a dream planted in your heart and make it grow in the world. Celia was unknown and did not have the kinds of connections that easily open doors. So remember, did her family have a lot of money? No. Did she have a lot of connections to the music world already? No. In the music world, knowing someone oftentimes is what helps you out. But still, she jumped at every opportunity. Talent contests at the National Theater and amateur nights on the radio, she never forgot her father's lessons on the importance of education. And after graduating high school, she enrolled in Cuba's National Music Conservatory, where she studied piano, voice, and musical theory. Then in 1950, she got her big shot. The most popular band of the day was a group called La Señora Matancera, and they were auditioning for a new lead singer. When they heard Celia sing, the way she made each and every note swing, they decided to give the little songbird a job. At first, La Señora's public was outraged. Who was this no-name singer fronting their favorite band? The phones at the Havana radio station rang off the hook with complaints. At home, Celia began to wonder if she shouldn't take her father's advice and teach school. Was she really the ruin of Cuba's most beloved band? She stood by the window, looking out at the stars. She feared she would never join, and Celia asked herself, why do I sing? Is it for fame and fortune, and for fans that do not exist? No, she told herself. I sing for my parents, the ancestors, and the saints. I sing because when I lift my voice up high, I feel like the first pajero of the day, whistling buenos dias to anyone who will listen. I sing for my little brothers and sisters and the sweet expressions on their faces when they finally fall asleep. So did Celia decide to stick with her dreams for the fame? No, she did it for herself and because of her family, and she knew that that passion, that energy she had would transfer over. Although Celia was seriously thinking about giving up her dream, her bandmates refused to allow her to quit. As a group, they rewrote the history of Cuban music with new arrangements and a fresh, innovative style. By the time she left Cuba in 1960, Celia was as beloved throughout the country as the men who made music with her. She even earned an affectionate nickname from her thousands of fans. They called the group Café con Leche, coffee with milk, because Celia's skin was very dark and her bandmates were very fair. You can see them up here. In the United States, she became a citizen and her talent was rewarded with a permanent contract at the Hollywood Palladium. But once she left Cuba, politics dictated that she could never return. She would never again walk the streets of her beloved Havana. She would never again hear the cries of the pregón that were the bass and treble of Cuban street life. It was a heartache she carried with her her entire life. So she followed her dream. She came to the United States. She got a permanent job. But because of politics, she could never go home again. Still, she kept her heart open. Lost loves make room for new ones. And it was there in Hollywood, that factory town of movies and dreams, that the young princess of salsa music fell in love with a knight in shining armor. His name really was Knight, Pedro Knight. He was the lead trumpet player of the Palladium Orchestra, and while he dazzled her with his high notes, he won her love with his understanding. She told him that her heart would always be split in 3 pieces, and only one part would belong to him. One part of her part belonged to the music, and the 3rd piece would always live in Cuba. Celia knew that she had met more than her husband. She had met an angel who would be her companion and protector in this land so far from home. Celia Cruz brought salsa music to every corner of the earth. From London to the Congo, from Brazil to Japan. She recorded over 20 gold albums and is known the world over as the Queen of Salsa. For more than 40 years, Pedro Knight was her king. Celia's performance trademark was her full-throated shout of azúcar, the Spanish word for sugar, and the only word many say that so perfectly described her voice. Do any of you know what a gold album is? I have to look up the exact number, but a gold album means that Celia, the album she had recorded, had sold a lot of copies. So you only get a gold album if you've sold a lot of those copies. In the fabled land of Havana, where rhythm grows sweet and juicy, like oranges in Florida, there lived a girl. She looked like a girl and talked like a girl. But everyone who ever met her agreed. She sang like a bird. The bird girl grew into a princess, and the princess became a much beloved queen. Her kingdom was music, and those who loved her called her not by name, but by the joy she inspired. At concerts, they called out azúcar, and Celia Cruz never failed them. She sung sugar, sweet sugar, wherever she went. I want to read to you the author's note that is included at the back of this book. The author of this book is Veronica Chambers, and it was illustrated by Julie Marin. I was born in Panama, and as my mother likes to say, she gave me the milk, but the music of Celia Cruz sweetened it. When I grew up, Celia Cruz became a role model for me, and she was La Tinguera. La Tingra. She taught me that despite the common media images, Latinas come in all colors. As a journalist at Newsweek, I had the opportunity to interview Miss Cruz for a cover story about Latin music. Honestly, it wasn't my best interview. I was too in awe to ask many questions. Instead, I sat and listened, soaking in her beauty, her grace, the amazing rhythms of the voice I'd heard so many times on records and CDs. Celia Cruz was born on October 21st in the Santos Suarez area of Havana, Cuba. When she was 14 years old, Celia Cruz began singing in local talent shows. A classically trained musician who helped give life and spirit to Latin America dance music, she studied music theory, piano, and voice at Cuba's National Music Conservatory. She joined La Señora Matanchera in 1950, along with that group, recorded the song that would become classics of Afro-Cuban music. These songs include Yembe La Roco, Berendega, and Carmelo. By the end of that decade, the popularity of the group propelled Celia to international fame. On July 15, 1960, she left Cuba and moved to the United States. In 1961, she became an American citizen, though she dreamed her entire life of returning to Cuba and visiting her mother's grave. While Celia Cruz would eventually become known as the Queen of Salsa, she was a songstress who thrived on collaboration. Together with orchestra leader Tinto Puente, she helped to ignite the salsa boom of the 1970s. But that was only the beginning of the way in which Celia Cruz would begin her passionate, joyful work as an ambassador of Afro-Cuban music. Her musical pairings transcended race, generation, and nationality. The artists she collaborated with ranged from salseros such as Fania All-Stars, Willie Colon, Gloria Estefan, and Ray Barreto to R&B legends Aretha Franklin and Patti LaBelle. To world music doyen David Byrne, to Haitian American hip-hop producer Wyclef Jean, she taught the world that salsa was more than music for Latinos. In it was contained la esencia de la vida, the joy, the pain, the bone and marrow, the very essence of life to which all people around the world would connect. In her life, Celia Cruz recorded more than 70 albums. So we read earlier that she had 20 gold albums. She recorded more than 70 albums, many of which went gold or platinum. She won 5 Grammy Awards and appeared in 10 movies, including the critically acclaimed Mambo Kings. In Africa, she performed at the sold-out concert that was the prelude to the famous Rumble in the Jungle boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. She received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. October 25th was declared Celia Cruz Day in San Francisco. In Miami, a street is named Celia Cruz Way. On July 16, 2003, Celia Cruz passed away, and music lovers the world over mourned her death. She more than witnessed history, she transformed it. From a revolution in Cuba to a revolution in Latin music. As a girl, princess stories were my favorite. Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Cinderella. But I never read a story about a princess who looked like me. This is from the author still, I wrote Celia Cruz, Queen of Salsa, because I wanted to write about this incredible woman who became music royalty. Yes, this is a story of great beauty, who enjoyed a great romance, but is also about a woman who became a queen because of her talent, her hard work, her creativity, and her spirit. Celia Cruz was still alive when I first wrote this book, but I hope that its publication is a worthy tribute to her memory. For me, her music and her life is a reminder of the sweetest things in life. Celia Cruz, Queen of Salsa.